Welcome to Mysteries in Crime, your go-to channel for unraveling the most compelling cases of mystery and true crime. If you're passionate about diving deep into the most chilling and intriguing stories, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to stay updated. Your support helps us bring you more stories like this one. Tonight, we delve into one of the most gripping and horrifying cases in recent memory. The Idaho Murders of 2022 and the ongoing trial of Bryan Kohberger. This case has captivated the nation with its tragic loss, unanswered questions, and the perplexing details surrounding the suspect. Stay with us as we piece together the story of this shocking crime and the search for justice. It was the early morning hours of November 13th, 2022, in the quiet college town of Moscow, Idaho. The town, nestled in the rolling hills of the Palouse region, was known for its tranquil streets and tight-knit community. But on this fateful night, the peace was shattered forever. 4 University of Idaho students, Kaylee Goncalves, Madison Mogan, Zana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin, were brutally murdered in an off-campus house. The crime scene was described as something out of a nightmare, leaving investigators and the public horrified. The house, located on King Road, was a popular spot for college students. On this night, the victims had spent their evening enjoying what seemed like an ordinary college experience. Kaylee and Madison had been at a local bar, while Zana and Ethan attended a party at a nearby fraternity house. By the early hours of the morning, they had all returned home, likely expecting nothing more than a good night's sleep. But what unfolded in that house was anything but ordinary. Around noon on November 13th, a 911 call was placed by one of the surviving roommates. The caller reported an unconscious person. When police arrived, they discovered a scene far more gruesome than anyone could have anticipated. The 4 victims had been fatally stabbed, and the brutality of the attack suggested a level of rage and calculation that stunned even the most seasoned detectives. For weeks, the investigation seemed to stall. The small police department in Moscow, with limited resources, faced the immense challenge of solving a case that was both complex and high-profile. Fear and speculation gripped the community. Who could have committed such a heinous act? Was the killer still among them? And perhaps most chillingly, could they strike again? As the days turned into weeks, frustration began to mount. Law enforcement faced criticism for their lack of updates, and the public's imagination ran wild. Social media became a breeding ground for theories, with amateur sleuths dissecting every detail of the case. But behind the scenes, investigators were piecing together a trail of evidence that would eventually lead them to an unlikely suspect. On December 30th, 2022, nearly 7 weeks after the murders, police announced a breakthrough. Bryan Kohberger, a 28-year-old criminology Ph.D. student at Washington State University, was arrested in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, over 2,000 miles from Moscow. The arrest sent shockwaves through the nation. How could someone studying criminal justice, someone who seemingly understood the intricacies of law enforcement, be implicated in such a brutal crime? The evidence against Kohberger was damning. Surveillance footage had captured a white Hyundai Elantra near the crime scene on the night of the murders. Investigators tracked the vehicle's movements, and it led them to Kohberger. But the most significant piece of evidence came from the crime scene itself. A knife sheath was discovered near one of the victims, and DNA found on the sheath allegedly matched Kohberger's. As more details emerged, a disturbing picture began to take shape. Cell phone records suggested that Kohberger had been near the victim's house on multiple occasions in the weeks leading up to the murders. Prosecutors allege that this indicates he may have been stalking his victims. And then there's the chilling detail of Kohberger's academic background. He was studying criminology at Washington State University, located just a short drive from Moscow. Some have speculated that his studies may have informed his actions, though the true extent of this connection remains unclear. Kohberger's arrest marked a turning point in the case, but it also raised new questions. What was his motive? Did he know the victims? And how could someone who appeared so ordinary to those around him allegedly carry out such a horrific crime? As the trial unfolds, the answers to these questions remain elusive. Kohberger has maintained his innocence, and his defense team has raised concerns about the integrity of the investigation. They argue that the DNA evidence could have been contaminated and that the case against him relies too heavily on circumstantial evidence. But the prosecution is confident in their case, pointing to the mountain of evidence that they say ties Kohberger to the crime. The trial has also brought to light the emotional toll on the victims' families. In court, the families of Kylie, Madison, Zana, and Ethan have shared their heartbreak and their determination to see justice served. Their presence is a stark reminder of the human cost of this tragedy. 4 young lives full of promise, taken far too soon. One of the most controversial aspects of the case has been the gag order imposed on those involved. This order has limited the flow of information to the public, fueling frustration and speculation. While the order is intended to ensure a fair trial, it has also left many feeling in the dark about key aspects of the case. This lack of transparency has only added to the case's mystique, with some questioning whether there are details that have yet to come to light. Meanwhile, the media frenzy surrounding the case has been relentless. True crime enthusiasts and journalists alike have dissected every aspect of the investigation, often blurring the line between fact and speculation. Some have criticized this intense scrutiny, arguing that it risks overshadowing the pursuit of justice. Others see it as a reflection of our collective obsession with true crime and our desire to make sense of the senseless. As the trial progresses, the courtroom has become a stage for a high-stakes battle. The defense has sought to poke holes in the prosecution's case, while the prosecution has methodically laid out their evidence. Among the most compelling pieces are the alleged connections between Kohberger's phone data and the crime scene, as well as his movements in the hours and days following the murders. These details paint a chilling picture of premeditation and calculation. But for all the evidence presented, there are still gaps in the narrative. The motive remains unclear, and the defense has worked to exploit these uncertainties. They have argued that the case against Kohberger is built on a foundation of assumptions rather than concrete proof. It's a strategy that has left many wondering how the trial will ultimately unfold. In the midst of this legal battle, the victims' families have remained steadfast in their quest for justice. Their presence in the courtroom serves as a powerful reminder of what's at stake. They have spoken about the vibrant lives of Kaylee, Madison, Zana, and Ethan, their dreams, their friendships, and the profound impact they had on those who knew them. Their stories add a deeply human element to a case that has often been overshadowed by its sensational details. As we follow the developments in this case, one thing is certain: the search for justice is far from over. The trial of Bryan Kohberger has captivated the nation, not just because of the horrific nature of the crime, but because of the questions it raises about human nature, the criminal justice system, and our collective need to understand the inexplicable. Will the evidence presented be enough to secure a conviction, or will the defense's arguments create reasonable doubt in the minds of the jury? These questions loom large as the trial continues, and the answers will have far-reaching implications for all involved. For now, we wait. We wait for the legal process to unfold, for the truth to emerge, and for justice to be served. And as we do, we remember the lives that were lost and the loved ones left behind. Their pain and resilience are a testament to the enduring impact of this tragedy. Thank you for joining us on this journey into one of the most harrowing cases in recent memory. If you found this story compelling, please like this video and subscribe to Mysteries in Crime for more in-depth looks at the cases that shape our world. Until next time, stay safe and take care.